version of Pigments just dropped. 3.5, free to anyone who has Pigments 3, so go over and pick that up. You'll get 150 new presets with this version as well that are using a lot of the new features that come with it. I love the fact that the update is free and that the patches are free. I wish more companies would follow in their footsteps and do this kind of stuff. And not only are they releasing the new presets and the new version, they also have something called the Energy Triad, which is 3 banks of sounds that you can pick up for $29.99, I think is the price. And if you're buying Pigments for the first time, not only is it 50% off, but you get the Energy Triad for free. So we'll have a look at some of those patches here today as well, but mostly we'll focus on the new features. I'm not getting paid to make the video, but I do get the software for free. So let's get into the new features and see what Pigments 3.5 is all about. So one thing you'll notice is I have a new computer setup, and this is my new M1 MacBook Pro. I got the Pro Max, and I have a video coming up where I'm going to talk about how it performs and whether you should upgrade and all that. So make sure you subscribe so you can find out my thoughts on the computer. I'll run through some tests and stuff like that. And the newest version of Pigments comes with M1 compatibility. I'm running it inside Cubase, which doesn't have M1 compatibility just yet, so I don't think the CPU specs as we see them here are a good indication of what's going to happen with this machine. They've also done a little bit to the user interface, so a few things have changed around. So a new effect that they've added is this distortion one right here. So if I'm on the effects tab, we can see distortion, and we can see 16 different modes of distortion with built-in filtering. So we've got all sorts of crazy new ways to distort your sound. Let's just try this one out. Let's try another preset. And dual fold. You can hear the different kind of harmonics that are happening with the different types of distortion. Another thing they've got is an expanded comb filter. So we've got 3 new modes in the comb filter. So down here at the bottom, you'll see the different types, new ways to mangle sound or to shape sound. How cool would it be to put some kind of envelope on that? Hey, what happens if we do that? Let's go to envelope 3, and we're going to drag this guy right here. We're going to drag down so that it cranks up to that point that we just found by accident. And then we can, of course, go over to our envelope and change that up a bit. Oh, that's really neat. That sounds sweet. Let's drag it all the way to play with how long it takes to get up to this point. And then let's go put some reverb on there. That's pretty cool. I love it when you pull something up, play with a control of some sort, and then all of a sudden get inspired to make a patch. That's just good design, and it's so easy to work with envelopes and things like that in Pigments, and just the fact that you can see everything. When I play it, I can physically see that frequency knob changing. So new comb filter stuff, and you're going to see a lot of patches that mention the fact that they've got this new comb filter in it. And I got to say, that's another thing I absolutely love about Pigments. Omnisphere does this as well. If you go and look at a patch of some sort, you're going to see a little bit of notes, information on the patch over on the right hand side. So you can go, okay, what's special about this patch? And then the makers of these patches, like these guys right here, they can say, you know, play with the modulation control on this patch because, you know, they designed it to have something special happen when you play with the modulation. So the last thing I will talk about here is just cross modulation. And so cross modulation is now available between the 2 engines of Pigments. Whether you're working with a sample or an analog or a wavetable or anything like that, any of the different engines, you can now use the engines to modulate one another. So for example, you could have this engine here modulating this one, but you could still have this engine on and being heard. So you could hear it sound and hear the effects of modulating the first engine, or you could turn the volume of the second engine off and just hear what's happening with the modulation from that engine onto the first engine. So let's just load up an initialized patch and just see exactly what this looks like or sounds like. Okay, so we've got a basic waveform here. Sine wave, I can move this over to triangle wave just by pushing it there. And we can look at this 2D so we can see a little bit more traditional triangle wave there. So now we're going to turn on engine 2. And right now we've got a piano sample. Let's load up a different sample. There's a couple other new things I forgot to mention. One is that they've added a whole bunch of new wavetables. They've also added folders. So here you can see I've got a folder of machine kits, and I could load up my favorite library crate cuts here and just leave them as a path in here for your own samples. Let's find something out of crate cuts. Okay, let's try that one. So now what I want to do is turn the output of this engine right off. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to turn on crossmod source engine 2. So now engine 2 is going to be modulating engine 1. At first you don't hear anything. That's because we need to start messing around with this. So one thing we could do is turn up the FM type. Maybe this isn't a great example because we can't hear exactly what's happening with the modulation. Let's go change that. Go back over to, let's try something like vocals. We can really hear what's happening with vocals. All right, let's try kids' laughter. Okay, so now you can hear the kids' laughter coming through and changing this sound, modulating this sound. You can hear that change there, and we can go right over here and just click on the next one, and we'll try the next sample in that folder. Wow. But don't forget that engine 2 isn't even on right now. So we could turn on the volume of engine 2 and get a taste of this sound right here. Right, so you can hear them both kind of sneaking through. I mean, the sound design capabilities of this cross modulation stuff is obviously endless. Let's go find something a little bit more functional. Let's go to an analog synthesizer, and maybe we'll do both of them as analog synthesizers. And we've already got engine 2 as the modulator for engine 1. So let's go over to engine 2. Make sure it's off. And we're going to set this engine 2 to a square wave. Then we're going to go back over here and we're going to see what happens if we start messing around with this. I'm going to crank up this FM modulation, and you can see that this little line right here kind of gives you a good indication of what you should mess around with, or what knob you should mess around with to start hearing some modulation. So let's play with the semitones. So obviously putting them at certain intervals is going to give you a little bit more sonically pleasing results. Very cool, aggressive sound. And like I said, you're going to hear a lot of these in the default patches that come with the new version. Wow, I mean, yeah, okay. Let's see what happens if we play with this coarse knob. You can see it's at 7 semitones. Well, it's basically just giving you a shortcut to this tuning knob right here. So if you change this control right here, it's going to change over here on number 2. So we'll put that back at 7 semitones. What happens if we go over to this one and change the tuning way, way, way down out of the audio range? Now we can hear that square wave. So we can really see how this shape right here is modulating this sound. Okay, so let's go look at a little idea I've got using some of the new patches. So this one here is called Glass Case. I've got a kit in here from Magnetic Coast, a Native Instruments expansion. I've got a toy piano. These are all new patches. Howler bass. It's a really aggressive sound, but I love it. It's just so rich. So let's see what it's got in it. So this one's got the new distortion in it. There it is without the distortion. We've got In the Zone. And this one has some random stuff going on in the random modulators. We've got a pad. And then I've got a whoosh sound, which I just created on my own. So I loaded up a sample right here in engine number 1, this futuristic bullet impact. And then I went over to effects and added distortion. So here it is without the, and then I put distortion on. Just got a little bit more intense, put some reverb on it, and that's just my little whoosh sound. All right, and then I went and reversed the samples. So here under edit, I just went to playback and set it to reverse. And then I've also got a hard growler lead. Let's have a look at this one. And this one's using that new comb filter, low pass 6. You hear how dramatic that filter actually is. Well, let's play around with this. Here we go. Okay, so now let's go look at the new patches, the bass thermal, EDM kinetic, and trap chemical. So let's start over with trap chemical. If I click that in the banks here, we're going to see the 150 presets that come with this bank. Actually, I found a patch when I was just going through this. I'm just going to load up that one and have a look at that. Really like this patch. Pitch warbles might be a little bit too much. So let's go over to where the pitch warbles are. Right away we can see this little sine wave moving up and down, and so it's pretty clear that that's what's causing the pitch change. And if I go over to engine 1, we can see that yes, it's moving back and forth. So all I have to do is click on the LFO 1 and I can see that it's at 0.15, so I'm going to drag this down to like 0.3. Let's put a little bit of reverb on there. A little bit more delay. And then let's get a little beat in there. I'm going to go over to battery and I am going to choose, let's go from Backyard Jams, one of the new ones. Let's try the Keep On kit. Wow. All right, I've got reverb on here already. Let's go turn that down. Nice. And we're gonna go, let's go try Trap Chemical one more time. And let's just play through some of these patches, see if we get inspired. Let's go down to lo-fi keys and see what I'm going to go over to Banks and we're going to go to Bass Thermal and see what we can find. So super aggressive stuff. Let's go down to sub bass. I can see why it's loved by everyone. That's really nice. Let's go over to the browser and we'll try that one last one, EDM Kinetic. And let's go by type and see if we can find some kind of plucky thing. Pretty cool sounds in here. I'm impressed with the sound packs and even more impressed with the new sound design capabilities of Pigments 3.5. So I'll put a link in the description, go check it out, and there should be a demo on there as well. So you can just try it out for a few days, see if you really like this new synthesizer, pick it up for yourself and get a whole bunch of sounds, extra sounds with it, as well as the new features. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and the bell if you're new here, and we'll see you in the next video. Oh, and also go check out my last video, Beats and Chats, where I interviewed Sanjay C. I'm sure you guys all know who Sanjay C is, and in this video you get to know a little bit more about him, and we make some music together, so go check it out. Thanks for watching.